the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. Go on.
I was going to say, who are you?
well, I'll tell you who I am. You better know my name. It is Joel Osborne. I'm joined as always by Sam Hardy. Sam, first of all, I've got to give you some congratulations.
What's that for, mate?
Well, because this week you made your announcing debut right here at Ashton Gate for the Bristol Bears versus Cardiff game.
That is true. I did do that.
Obviously, you do announcing at the SGS Wise campus on game days. What was it like doing your first game?
Well, firstly, slight step up in size. No offense to the Flyers SGS arena, but what's that? 700-800 people, and I think it was like 8,000, maybe not quite 8,000 people at the game on Friday night. So a bit of a step up, mate. Good, very fun. Lots of it's massive there. That's all I can say, really.
Yeah. Well, Downsy, who usually does the PA announcing, he's off to the World Cup, isn't he? So you got the call up into Bristol Bears. You did the game versus Bears versus Cardiff. The game, and it went well, right? But however, we did manage to bring up a few. We looked through social after the match and we saw a couple of posts online. A few that took my fancy. The first one, it's Bristol Saint here. He sounds like a YTS bingo announcer. Obviously not going down as well with some of the Bristol Bears fans, but we still love you here at Flyers, Sam. It
looks like you've picked out some kind ones, mate. There were some very much not kind ones shouted out. Poundland Joe Wicks was one of my absolute favourites, actually.
Got another one here. It's from, here we go. I didn't know there were 16 R's in Kerr. You know, you love us roll your R's when you do the PA announcing.
Do you know what? That one wasn't even a rolled R. That one was just like, Kerr! And then
you just went on and on and on.
That's it.
One more tweet I do want to bring up.
Go on.
South Stand. We're in the South Stand and we're waiting for the basketball organ chimes.
I like that. That means that we got some fans of the Flyers and we got fans of the Bears, mate. I like that. That's all right, that, isn't it?
Well, that's from Music is Life on Twitter. More basketball organs. You know,
should we get them going?
Makes perfect sense. No, well, Sam's gonna get his organs on the old soundboard. There we go.
You have to shout Bears instead. It doesn't really work, does it?
No. Let's go, Bears. Let's go. No. But that was your first game. You got the call up again, right? Am I right in thinking?
Well, maybe. Yeah, I got the call. Tomorrow night, there's obviously the massive Bristol Bears are playing against the South African, the world champions national squad. 27,000 people going to be there. And I'm going to get even more abuse online, Joel. Can't wait for that.
No pressure, mate. No pressure. Fun fact, actually. Did you know that Downsy, of course, who does the PA announcing, he is the voice of the Bristol Flyers podcast Stings.
Go on, show us.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Shout out Downsy.
He's got a much nicer voice than me, to be fair. So
a voice for radio, that's what we would say. So time to introduce this week's guest, and joining us this week on the Bristol Flyers Podcast. He's been avoiding us for a number of weeks, but we finally managed to get him on the podcast. It is none other than the Iceman, Mike Miller. Mike, how's it going?
Good. How y'all doing?
Yeah, we put on our white shirts just for you, for the Iceman. We got our...
oh, really?
Yeah, just for you.
I thought
icy white shirts today.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I was saying I thought that y'all wanted to see the fans of the podcast see y'all sweat. How hot it is in here.
Well, that is one of the reasons too, as well. Obviously,
you can actually see my. It's already sweaty.
We don't want to see that.
It is. I
don't want to see that.
I can confirm in here. It is absolutely boiling. It's like a tropical climate in this studio.
It is.
Mike, obviously your first season as Bristol Flyers captain. How is that going? What does that mean to you being Flyers captain?
It's going as expected. Kind of. Obviously, to me, it's just a title, but it also is it shows leadership, you know. And I exemplified that last year. But to actually have that title and have it be known by, you know, the entire club and then the fans as well, it kind of signifies like my importance to the team. So.
Well, we can already see, like last year especially, there were times where we had highs, we had lows, but we could see, even though you weren't officially captain from the court side, you could see he was just like get everyone together, getting everyone's like, cheering everyone on. It was actually really, really important for the team and really good to see, wasn't it, Joel?
Yeah, definitely. I know Josh Rogers obviously was the Flyers captain before he moved on.
Shout out Josh Rogers, man. That's my boy.
Did he give you any tips or anything about what it means to be Bristol Flyers captain?
Not much. He taught me to smile, even when things are going bad. Smile. But no, Josh is my boy. I wish we could have had him back for this year, but life takes a turn, and you got to do what's best for yourself. So
yeah, I think the thing with captains for me is that obviously there are a lot of responsibilities involved with being a captain.
Yeah,
you're essentially you're the extension of coach out there on the court. If Flyers go and win a championship, you're the one that lifts the trophy up at the end. But there's a lot of admin-y bits as well, right? I mean, imagine things like setting up the team WhatsApp group and
for sure.
and things like that.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into being the captain. Like people, if only people knew. But as a captain, you got to be consistent. You got to be on point all the time, because you're a reflection of how the team looks. So
yeah. Well, we want to hear more about this players WhatsApp group, because of course we're part of the group with players and staff, but you have a separate WhatsApp group, don't you, where it's just the players in there. What sort of things are we chatting about in there?
Man, that's certified. That's top secret right there. You ain't got access to it. That's the reason why. But nah, it's just general stuff, It's an open chat, honestly, about basketball, non-related basketball. If something funny happened that day, some guys have dropped something funny in it. For example, Nassim, he randomly put, to tease us Americans, he put a meme in there of a water bottle and said, "Americans be like, water bottle," or something like that.
Water bottle.
That we pronounce it with like a D and an R. And I'm just like, well, y'all either would pronounce it with a hard T, or y'all pronounce it without the T at all. So it's water or it's water.
Can you give us a bottle of water in a British accent?
No, Jelani actually, we was at Nando's and Jelani was like, "I'll just take water." and it sounded like, the song, "Water." What is it good for? I just start singing that.
Water.
I just start singing that. I'm like, that's how you sound right now. It's water.
That's amazing. Also, with being the captain, I guess you are the point of contact between people like Steve Devereaux at the club. And so things like if you guys wanted to do a night out over at Pam Pam's and you reach out to Steve, as captain, you're the one to reach out to Steve and get him to book the table at Pam's, right?
Yeah. Obviously. I know we had a birthday or so last year. He was good in arranging that for us. And then after the big Manchester win, he sorted out a night out for everybody. So, which you guys are probably in attendance. I don't really recall.
I can't remember.
I don't think you guys have night outs. I thought you went to bed by 9 p.m.
Actually, I do. We have Bible study too. It's great, very pure individuals.
Talk to us about some other bits of admin-y captain bits you have to do. Is there anything like tickets for away games? So, for example, if I know you guys get tickets for away games, if someone wanted to use so-and-so's tickets, are you giving?
Yeah, that's not captain. That's not captain material right there. Not this Mike, but the other Mike Atkins. He takes care of all of that. He sorts that out and makes sure, everybody puts the desired name for their ticket on the list. So
are there any benefits to being best mate with the captain on the club? Is there anything, or do you get a lot of players sucking up to the captain at all?
Nah. I think that's corny. So I'd rather you be you. You get more brownie points, more recognition for being you.
Do you find that you captain on and off the court in terms of sometimes the guys will come and speak to you about something in their own lives and you talk to them about that, or do they go elsewhere, sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've had situations in the past where, and it not even necessarily has to be someone reaching out to me. If we're having practice and I can sense somebody's not being themselves, I might just reach out and be like, you good? What's up? Anything, going on that you want to talk about? If you comfortable enough, I'm here, I'm an ear, I listen to you, blah, 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 and see if I can help. But yeah.
That's awesome. Captain both on and off the court. So setting a true example.
Love that.
Mike, you're back here with your second year with the Bristol Flyers. How are you finding it being back in Bristol so far?
Numero dos. It's good, man. It was up in the air. Like, I didn't know really what to expect after I signed, but coming back and just having a warm welcome, being a familiar face, and then also like knowing what to expect, and then also being able to help like the new Americans who have to adapt from like the college lifestyle, being that go-to person, like that's been really, really big. So
yeah, I imagine being a second-year player now here, you must know all the best places to go around Bristol, sort of away from the court, right?
Let my roommate TB tell it. He said my recommendations suck. He said, I don't know how is your second year here, you still don't know no good food spots. And every time after practice, he just looking at me for advice, and I'm like, man, you got to figure it out on your own.
Well, where are you going? What's your go-to places?
Usually I try to cook, but I've been lazy with that, so it just depends on the day. Like sometimes I'll be in the mood for chicken, sometimes I'll be in the mood for pasta. There's a barbecue place called Low and Slow.
We heard about that last week. Yeah.
A lot of the guys like that. So it just depends on the mood, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we've just literally grabbed you from Nando's, haven't we?
Oh,
You've just come from a team meal at Nando's. I mean,
I got some chicken stuck in my teeth or something.
Last week we had VJ on the podcast. He said you guys went to Toby Carvery. This week you guys are going to Nando's. It seems like you're going out for a meal every single week.
I don't think the guys were a big fan of Toby Carvery, but it was a great experience. A nice roast dinner.
Yeah, well, everyone's got to try it,
No, for sure.
Funny story you say that. We actually had a tweet from the official Toby Carvery account after the last episode of the podcast.
I think Coach actually mentioned that before practice started, he was saying how they wanted to invite us back.
Yeah, they slid into our DMs, Toby Carvery on Twitter.
Shout out Toby Carvery.
And they said, look, next meal's on us. So
that's big time, man.
So I know you said none of the players really liked it last time, but looks like you're going back again.
You can't turn down a free meal. That's all I can say.
I mean, last year, we kind of want to talk a little bit about last year. I know you were out for an extended period on the court last season. I imagine that would have been pretty tough for you as a player, but you came back to form just at the right time of the season, in time for the playoffs, and that game against Manchester in the playoffs. I mean, that game will live long in the memory of many Flyers fans.
Yeah, it definitely will. It's actually a blur. Like I think back on it all the time. When I have free time, I'll literally, or I need some motivation or something, I'll literally go back and watch the game and just kind of remind myself of, no matter how tough the situation is, like you really are one of those guys that can make something happen, So
yeah. Was that like was that one of the biggest shots of your career? Do you think that shot?
Yeah. I've made some pretty big shots in my career, but in that situation, aggregate score, that was totally new, like to me. So to have to come down, what were we down 12? So to have to win by 13 or more to advance to the semifinals, like that was big time.
Well, we've got the play here. I mean, just talk us through like what was going through your head in these kind of final minutes of the game. I mean, you can see it up here on the screen behind it, on the screen here now. Look, you catch the ball. Just talk us through this moment.
Well, we if you don't have it pulled up, but prior to this, before Coach called the timeout, it was a play before we were down 10 or up 10, down 2 in aggregate. And I have an opportunity. I had just hit a 3-point shot. We get the stop. I have an opportunity to make a 3, or I have an opportunity to tie it. But Zach comes, sets an illegal screen, and he's just like mad, like talking to the refs. And I'm like, we good. We gonna get this stop. We gonna win this game. That's just the feeling. That's the vibe that I had. And so we go into the timeout. We come back out, and that's when Zach gets the steal, gives it to Malcolm, ties it up. We come down, get another stop. And then Zach gets fouled. Coach calls timeout, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, I'm about to win us this game, because that's just how I was going. It was just one of those nights. Like I just felt like I could make any shot, and the team depended on me. So basically, You know, we in the huddle. Coach said, Mike, he drew the play up. He was like, Mike, get the ball on the block. He was like, go to work. And obviously, we had, 8 seconds? I think it was.
Yeah, there was still time.
It was like 8 seconds, but I'm just like, the last thing he's going to expect is for me to shoot this shot, which I've practiced. Like, I practiced this shot. And it was like the last thing that a defender would expect. Like, it's so much time. Why would he shoot a fadeaway? So I just had that in my mind. I'm like, I'm going to get this ball. And it just fell right in my hand in a perfect position. And I put it up, and it went in. And obviously, as y'all saw, like, the crowd went crazy.
Not only did it go up, it was the cleanest,
Yeah.
swish he's ever seen. Straight teardrop straight through. I was loving it so much.
It was the coach actually called timeout before the ball went in the net.
Yeah,
that's how
you could see it in the play.
That's how legendary that play was. It was definitely a memorable moment.
Yeah, and that shot then combined with that block from Malcolm to win the game, that created such a huge buzz around the city for basketball, and you sort of didn't want the season to end at that point.
Exactly.
There was only like 2 or 3 games left at that point, and you kind of wanted it to continue. But you guys seem to have really continued that buzz now going into this season. I mean, 7-3, top of the league in the table. I mean, you couldn't have had a much better start, really.
No, for sure. We're supposed to be 10-0, but we let that go. But that was one of my big points of emphasis, like sitting down with coach, like resigning. I was just, adamant. I wasn't happy. You can tell he wasn't really happy. Obviously, we were happy about like the things that we accomplished that year. But you never know when you're going to be in a position to win a championship again. So like, we were hungry for more. So we were on the same page about that. So, signing again, I'm like we put together a team. Like, I want us to be on the same page. Like, I want to win the championship. I know how passionate you are about winning. Like, let's get this thing done. So, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. And, it's no surprise. We got picked to be 10th. I got it on my phone. I got the Drew Lasker and the other 3, Mike Tuck and whoever else. We literally, the group chat that we was telling you about, or that you was talking about, the players only, like, we literally put that picture as our screensaver as soon as they came out with it. And,
I love that.
It's every week by week, you just continue to prove them wrong and continue to be the trending topic, even though we not talked about enough. So...
Yeah, that seems to be a theme this year a lot. Like, just like teams not being talked about enough. It's all about coming into the season. It's all about your Leicesters, it's all about your Londons, sort of picking up big pieces. But I mean, you guys have been able to knock both of those guys off at home, and people aren't really talking about it as much
at all. And it's all good, It's expected, But it's gonna do nothing but, ignite a fire even stronger. And we just gotta keep proving them wrong week by week,
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast this week, Mike. We've got a quick fire questions segment to get through. Basically, we get every guest we get on, we get them to answer as many questions as possible about themselves in 30 seconds. Sam, are you ready to take us in to the quick fire segment? Ooh, we've got the red lighting up here. Are you nervous, Mike?
Nah. What's my name? ICEMAN?
That's it. That's why they call him the ICEMAN. Mike, we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock for you to answer as many quick-fire questions as you possibly can. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Your 30 seconds starts from now. Flyers blue jersey or Flyers white jersey?
Flyers white jersey.
What was your favourite subject in school?
Math.
Mornings or evenings?
Evenings.
What is your favourite colour?
Blue.
Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
North Texas or Bristol Flyers?
Bristol Flyers!
Oh, who on the team has the worst haircut?
Corey Samuels.
Favourite series to watch on Netflix?
The Crown.
What is your favourite video game?
Apex Legends.
What was your favourite away venue in the BBL?
Leicester Riders.
Ooh, you smashed that.
That was so good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Is that the winner?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, I think we should give it a round of applause out there. I don't see why not.
What's a round of applause?
That's incredible. Well, Mike, congratulations. You are the leader of our quick-fire questions. 10 questions is the score to beat. That is incredible. Great job, Mike.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe if y'all asked him a little sooner, then I would have I would have answered more. We're gonna get on that.
Well, my favorite thing is that you said Corey without even thinking.
Yeah, I love that. I was literally about to. I was literally about to cut you off there, by the way, with my little animation. I'm sorry about that.
I love Corey, but man, when you say a haircut, the first thing I think about is a head, and we make a joke about how little his head is. I love you, Corey, but I had to. I call him Squid. That's my nickname for him.
Squid.
That's my boy. Yeah.
I love that. Maybe I get into the commentary sometime. We don't know.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Call him. Next time you make a shot, be like, 3-pointer from Squid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely fitting that in 100%. Sam, should we get to this week's news around the league?
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Yeah, apologies about that, Mike. I literally cut you off there on that last segment with the transition.
I was trying to squeeze in what I was going to say before you did it. So, it worked out.
There we go. We're still getting used to this soundboard here on the podcast. Sam, let's get to this week's news around the league. Obviously, international break, so not too much going on around the league, but no games for Flyers. We did announce, though, our first members event of the season. We're going to be hosting an open training session for Flyers members and season ticket holders to come down and watch these guys train.
I actually saw that.
You're gonna have to rein in the shouting at each other when the people come, right?
We're gonna make sure we hype for the fans for sure.
Yeah. Well, fans will be able to come down and watch the guys train at SGS, meet the players for a post-training signing session as well. The Bristol Sport Game Day merch stand will be there. There should be some discounts on some Flyers merch, so you can grab your tees, your jerseys ahead of Christmas, and there may be a few cheeky giveaways in there as well, which we will not be announcing right now. But do keep your eyes peeled on the day.
These sweaty T-shirts are going to be in the giveaway.
Joel's sweaty Bristol Flyers game-worn polo during the Bristol Flyers podcast. How about that? That sounds like a good prize.
Oh, I love it.
One size fits all.
There we go. That event's going to be open to Flyers season ticket holders and members. We've had a good take-up so far, but if you are interested in coming to that event, go to the website, bristolflyers.co.uk. You get a chance to pick up a ticket. It's completely free if you're a member or a season ticket holder, so that is great. Other news going on around the league. I'll tell you what else, actually. I forgot to mention this. We are in talks for that week on the podcast to take the podcast on the road over to the open training session. So we'll be down there speaking to some fans, speaking to some players, maybe have a chat with coach as well. Maybe get some interviews into the podcast episode.
Well, this is the first I've heard of that, Joel. Thanks for letting me know.
This is our production meeting right now, by the way. We're doing it on the fly.
Yeah. Hasn't even asked if I'm available, but yeah, fine, I'll be there. Cheers, Joel.
Well, we'll figure out what
he might be commentating in front of 8,000 people, right?
Yeah, you could be down at Ashton Gate, mate.
Getting shouted at on social media afterwards. Yeah.
Other news around the league: Leicester Riders have added GB centre Aaron Menzies to their roster. He replaces Mo Walker. All 7'3" of him.
Do we know much about him? How's he looking?
He played at the international window for GB at the weekend, limited minutes, but he's been bought out from his team to come here to the BBL. So a good addition to their squad, another big body in there to replace Mo Walker, who is never good to see a player like that go down for the season. So wish him all the best. But a big welcome to Aaron Menzies into the BBL for the first time in his career.
Nice, love that.
Got to give a massive shout out to our guy Marcus Delpesh there at the weekend, because he had himself a tasty game for the Sheffield Sharks against Plymouth City Patriots. That guy loves playing in Plymouth, doesn't he?
He's always loved playing in Plymouth, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I had a rant about the lack of minutes that Sheffield are giving him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
What do you mean you gave me a rant? Were you?
Joel's rant.
It was before we had the audio cue, but yeah, it was. We spoke openly when Malcolm came on the podcast about Marcus and his time in Sheffield so far. He still only played 20 minutes, but he had a 15 point, 10 rebound double. So
that's very efficient. That's big time for sure.
Big dunks as well, weren't they?
Yeah. And that's the Flyers in him as well, I think. Beating Plymouth. He's doing it for us.
Plymouth is Plymouth, but
Did he ever come up? Has he ever come up and visited you guys while he's been over here?
I think he's visited Malcolm a few times, but yeah, I haven't seen much of him. So
yeah, well, you see a bit more of him in December because you play the Sharks again. I think it's the boys' campus.
We actually play him soon.
Yeah, it's like a few weeks' time, I think. So I think it's home the next game.
Yeah, the next 4 are home, and I think we got Cheshire, then we got Manchester.
Yeah,
and then I think it's Sheffield. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the start. I think it's December 3rd, if I'm right in thinking. Off the top of my head, Friday, December 3rd. Tickets at bristolflyers.co.uk.
All that's in that brain of yours is Flyers stuff, isn't it? That sounded mean. It was meant to be.
Apart from that, that's pretty much our news around the league this week. It's been a quite quiet week because obviously international break and stuff. Obviously, we've got a game this weekend, though, against Cheshire Phoenix. Mike, an interesting one for you. You've played Cheshire once already this season, and an interesting matchup, you and former Flyer Marcus Evans going head-to-head.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like you said, we faced him already once before, and it was a good game. It's good to see him on the other side of the coin, And that's pretty much all I say about it. I don't really have much, to say.
Have you spoken to him much at all since he's moved to Cheshire?
I kind of spoke to him, but it was like briefly. And we talked more like during the game. Just checked on him, see how he was and stuff, and then we chatted a little bit after the game as well. Mm-hmm. But just really locked in on us. So didn't really talk to him in depth like that.
What kind of chat are we talking about on the court then? Because we always talk about trash talk, and we love it here on the podcast. So is he talking a bit of smack to you guys while he's playing you, or is it quite respectful of being a former player?
No, I think it was more so respectful. It was more so respectful, more casual. I think I talked trash about like some of his players that like Larry Austin was on the free throw line, and I was like, oh yeah, he about to miss these. He was like, he was like, he might have two for you. And I think he ended up missing one that we needed. So I just laughed at that. But no, it was real casual between the two of us. Good to see him still, competing and with a job, and hopefully helping Cheshire, not against us obviously, but helping them get a nice standing spot in the league.
Yeah, we always wish our former players, well when they're playing for clubs, just not against Bristol Flyers.
Of course.
It's a good match against that before, but that was the one that you and TB both got injured in, wasn't it?
Yeah. They, I think they had it out for us.
Yeah, you guys taking knocks all over the place. I think TB had a couple of knocks to the head. There was one play where he ended up legs up in the air, all spread out on an and one 3-point play. That was a really physical game, wasn't it?
No, it was for sure. Ocharobia, he's very physical. I mean, Larry Austin is very physical, very fast, physical. I mean, Marcus as well. He was always a good defensive threat, for us, But yeah, it was just unfortunate, And I think just out of protocol, out of precaution, I think Coach wanted us to be safe and enter that concussion protocol. But I mean, I was fine, but it didn't help. I got sick while I was doing the concussion protocol, so that
because that pushed your protocol back a few days, didn't it? Because you weren't able to actually go in and do the same, do the protocol at the same rate as TB.
Because I felt fine. It happened, I think our game was Sunday, and then we had that Monday off. But I knew I was doing the concussion protocol. And then Tuesday was the first day of the concussion protocol, but I woke up feeling not good. And then we went in for our meeting, and then I did the first day. It was a light 15-minute bike, and then I'm sweating it's as hot as it is in here. And I'm like, Coach, I'm not right. I don't feel good. And he was we ended up going home anyway, me and TB. He didn't want us at practice. There was no need. And then from there, I just had the worst of it. So
yeah. Well, talk us through about how preparations have been going this week. Obviously, the week off, I imagine it's given everyone a chance to get back to full strength again. I know Andreas was away, wasn't he, last week? So you've had Coach Burns running sessions, haven't you?
Yeah. We've had some great sessions over the course of the week with Coach being gone. Still same message, as if he was here. And obviously with him coming back, there's a lot of excitement that he expressed coming back and getting back to work and continuing to further the success that we've had currently. So just looking forward to it.
Yeah, very good. One thing we'd like to do, Mike, to sort of round up this kind of interview segment is almost delve into your story about your journey into playing for the Flyers. How old were you when you actually first started playing basketball, and when was the point when you felt like you could eventually make this your career?
I mean, ever since I was about 4 or 5 years old, that's all I've known is basketball. And I would remember waking up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun came up, no shoes. My dad put a a basketball hoop outside the front of our house, and like I'm just out there before the sun came up, just shooting for hours. I wouldn't eat, wouldn't brush my teeth, nothing. I like literally like was so dedicated as a kid, and like obviously it transpired into like youthhood and then adulthood, and in college when I got to like North Texas, I think a lot of people's dream is to go Division I and play basketball. So once I got there, I'm like, man, that's my dream. But now I'm like, you know, with the work I put in there, to see how it all unfolded, and like to see that I actually had an opportunity to play professionally, like that was like a real eye opener for me. Because without basketball, honestly, like I don't really know what I would be doing in life. So.
Yeah, as you say, you spent those 2 years playing at North Texas.
Yeah.
How do you kind of reflect on that whole experience with the Mean Green, and like how did that help prepare you to make the next step into playing pro basketball?
I think the way I reflect on it, I would say I'm thankful, you know, to be in the position that I was in, because being recruited by, you know, coaches in general, whether it's professionally or whatever, like they'll tell you what you want to hear, you know, and you're interchangeable, you know, if you don't fit their narrative. So I did struggle my first year being there, but I had some genuine people around me, you know, that kind of mentored me and saw like the true nature of my heart and like desire to like win and be good at the game. And you know, I got through my adversities that year and then ended up getting an opportunity and thrived. And then that my senior year is really when it like unfolded, and like it was like clear that like, yeah, I'm gonna be able to play this game professionally. So it wasn't always, you know, sunshine and rainbows, but it was definitely worth like going through.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of vocal supporters on Twitter that follow us from North Texas. They've been followed because obviously, you know, a lot of players have come from, you know, 3 players have come now from North Texas in the last 2 years, you know, yourself and Zach, and now with TB. So we're finding a lot more supporters are following us on Twitter from like we've got a little spot in North Texas of fans. When we look through our analytics, a little hotspot, there's a little Bristol Flyers fan base in there somewhere. So maybe even some of them listening to the podcast here. So shout out to you guys if you are tuned in.
Hopefully, shout out
from
Mean Green fans
from North Texas. Are you still in touch with like the coaching staff and everything out there? Are you still talking to them all the time?
Oh yeah, we don't talk every day, but I, you know, when I'm going through games and I'm watching back and I'm just thinking about all the different like traits and winning habits that I picked up from, you know, that coaching staff and that program. Like it was literally something as simple as huddling like your team together like on every dead ball to make sure we're on the same page. Like every team doesn't do that, and I learned that there.
Yeah.
TB learned that there, and it was just, if you go back and you watch the Leicester game when they needed to get a stop or they needed to get a bucket, like on a dead ball, they were like apart, and like us, like from like 2 minutes on, like we all together, like this is what we need to do, and like that's one of the reasons we won the game. And it's little things like that like matter, and so very appreciative of, you know, adapting or picking up like those winning ways from that program.
Yeah, we had a chance to watch a lot of your games when you were playing from the TBT tournament with the alumni team over the summer, and it really seems like, you know, you guys, it's a mentality, isn't it?
Exactly.
Playing for North Texas, it's always the toughest team wins.
Exactly.
That's the mantra, isn't it?
Toughest team wins. Believe, serve, and compete. So you obviously got to believe that you're the best team. You got to believe, you know, in your ability. You got to serve. So, you know, serve for other people. Like, so serve for your teammates. What can you do to make your teammate look better or help your teammate? And then obviously compete. Like, you got to compete, you know, every possession like your hardest or like it's your last. So that's their, you know, mission statement pretty much there, and motto that they live by. And you can tell, like, we weren't predicted to win any game in the TBT, but then we ended up knocking off, I think we won 2, I think it was. And like I said, nobody projected us to win anything, but
yeah,
that's just the culture there.
Yeah.
We'd come in and I'd watch the highlights in the day, but Joel would be staying up at late at night.
That was me. Yeah, I was up at like God knows what hours watching those games through the summer when there was no basketball going on and stuff. Well, I'll tell you what we have to do. We'll have to get like we've got a little contingent of players from North Texas now, sort of in and around the Flyers or around the BBL. Obviously with Javen Hamlet now as well playing in Newcastle. Maybe we'll see if we can get like a Mean Green takeover episode or something. Get yourself and TB on, get Zach on the line, and get like
fly
Javen
Zach
Hamlet.
over, yeah.
Well, get like Zach on the line on the screen or something, and get Javen Hamlet in as well.
You'll have the whole of Denton tuned in to watch that if that ever happens.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let's do it.
We can make it happen. I reckon we can definitely get that going. I think maybe later on in the season I'll reach out to Zach and I'll see if I can reach out to Javen Hamlet as well down in Newcastle.
We'll have to get our lick back on Newcastle before you do any of that.
Maybe we leave it until after the next game. I imagine
we definitely shouldn't have lost that game, but.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for getting one of the few wins that they have.
Ooh, that sounds a bit catty then, Mike.
No shade being thrown.
What was it like playing against like Javian Hamlet though? Did you guys cross paths at college? Were you guys the same class or were you guys separate?
Nah, so he came the year that I graduated and left. So I got to work out with him. I got to play against him like open gym. But I didn't really get to play against him. But then I went, so the year prior to coming to Bristol Flyers, I went and the whole COVID year, I went and I was like a scout player. So I practiced with them and I was on scout team, just being the best player, like trying to score on them all the time. And I gave them some buckets, but
That's awesome. Oh, that's like what sort of being part of the coaching staff. You say almost sort of being part of the.
So basically, like say we were going against Cheshire, we would have a team of people that would run their plays, that would, and we have to defend their play. Well, the team has to defend their plays, and I would be on the scout team. So I would say I would be the other team's best player, and like depending on the way they want to guard me, like I would have to do certain things, like do pull-ups, or I would have to shoot threes as soon as I get it, or drive, and I would have to pretty much replicate the other team's tendencies.
That's so weird. So you had to try and play like not how you would play. You had to try and get in the head of the other guy.
Yeah, and try to make them stronger in that sense of guarding, the plays and stuff.
That's awesome. It's like pretending like you're gonna be Larry Austin.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We look similar.
Larry Austin, you're Marcus. And we're going to practice against Bristol Flyers in preparation for the game.
That's really cool.
We'd make a mean team, me and you.
Probably would. I think so.
I don't know if Sam can get buckets these days, but there we go.
Hey.
I see the half court shots. I don't know if that's photoshopped or not, but
oh no, they're not photoshopped.
That's real. Every one of them.
You never know what you could do with technology these days. I mean, look at this room.
Shall we get to this week's word of the week, Sam? I think it's time. I think we haven't brought back word of the week in last 2 weeks or so. So shall we bring it back?
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Okay, so Cheshire Phoenix at home on Friday. That means word of the week is back. Did you miss it, Sam?
The thing I miss is the jingle. My favourite thing is the wheel jingle. So yeah, that's
the
what
wheel jingle. Well, to be fair, we've got the wheel over here. I'm going to go fetch it. And Sam, if you want to play the jingle, let's play it.
Practice that.
The wheel. Give me a second.
So we got the wheel behind us. We've got one blank space right now because what we have is we want Mike to fill in the space for us. We're going to ask you to give us a word that Joel has to get in on his, when he's doing commentary on Friday. So Mike, have you got a word? You've got to make it difficult.
Joel's writing it?
Yeah, I'm going to write it on the board right here. So I've got a space for you. This is where... this spot here was where we got annihilation from the other week. So I'm going to write it on the board. I'm going to write a new word in there. We've still got all the same words from the other week. Things like flabbergasted, caterpillar, kerfuffle. The wheel's a bit broken there, look, Sam. Donut, hullabaloo, spooky. The words go on. So there's loads of words there. But Mike, you are going to pick a word for us to say on the podcast here. What do you want to say? Which word should we put up here?
It has to be difficult.
Yeah. What do you think? Something I can squeeze into the podcast, but maybe Corey gave me focaccia, and I didn't get it in the other week. So yeah, that was tough.
Oh wait, before we say that, me and Steve Devereaux were actually talking about the fact that you didn't get focaccia in, and we were gonna give you a forfeit. So one day when we do the Flyers podcast, you have to turn up wearing full Flyers kit only, headband and all, and that's your forfeit. I'm afraid, Joe.
What's the word again?
Corey's word he gave me the Corey's word was what was it? Annihilation. We span, and then Corey gave me the word focaccia to say,
Focaccia,
which is like a flat Italian bread, and I didn't say it on air, so okay. I had to do a forfeit, which turns out I'm gonna have to rock up to the podcast in a Flyers kit,
full shoes and all, mate,
and the shoes. Okay, there we go. What we saying, Mike? What word do you want on here?
Ooh. I got a couple that I'm thinking of right now, but
let's hear them. Let's hear both of them.
Hear both of them. I'll do the first one. I've been watching. I mentioned The Crown on Netflix, trying to touch up on my English history of the royal family. Abdication, I think it is.
Abdication. Oh, I'm gonna write abdication on the board here. Here we go.
Abdication.
Can he spell it? That's the question. And he's going to abdicate the throne of being the commentator if he doesn't get it in. That's the rule.
It was either that one or Coronation, one of the two.
Watching The Crown, I heard you say that earlier, but because we were doing the quick fire, that's rogue. Are you loving it?
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I finished my TV show, How to Get Away with Murder, and
so good,
and I had nothing to watch, so I was just doing the trial TV shows, and I'm like I read the description, I'm like, let me try this. I watched the first episode, and I'm like, this is actually interesting. So, here I am. I think I'm on episode 7 now, and it's 4 seasons. So coming along quite well.
I like that.
Awesome. That's great.
We'll be testing you on English history soon, okay?
You get the full test next time you come on the podcast.
Depends on how fast I've watched the show, but we'll see.
Well, we've put abdication up here on the board. I hope I spelled it correctly.
Can't even pronounce it right.
But we'll see if we can.
I want my 5th grade spelling bee, so I'm sure that's quite right.
Yeah, let's hope that one's not the word of the week. We put abdication up here on the board. Sam, shall we give this weird a spin?
I hope it lands on abdication.
Oh my goodness!
That's a respin.
I don't know if you can see that.
Respin.
No, we're keeping that.
Oh my god! It has landed on dodecahedron.
Dodecahedron. Oh Lord!
Look at it.
Oh Lord!
Look at the top of it. It's literally hanging on by a thread.
That's tough.
But dodecahedron is the word. So that is the word of the week. What's that? 12-sided shape, is it?
Certainly is, man. Not sure how this team's 12-sided team. So you got a few ways you can get it in there, but
yeah, we can say this Bristol Flyers roster is a dodecahedron of talent.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, like 12 players that can get hot any given night. You know what I mean?
You gotta make sense out of something. With that word.
Because usually he's making sense out of nothing. To be fair.
Man.
Brilliant. There we go. Right, dodecahedron is our word of the week. And that is it. You can't watch the game in person on Friday because the tickets are sold out. But you can listen to it over on BBL Player, and you can hear me try and squeeze the word dodecahedron into the broadcast. That is our Bristol Flyers word of the week.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
All right, time to get things wrapped up with the mailbag segment of our podcast. Mike, we put to the fans a poll out on socials. They asked them to send their questions in. We got loads of great questions here on the podcast. We're going to bash through some of these questions now. Sam, do you want to go ahead with the first one?
First question is from Paolo from The Office on Twitter. He wants to know, what is your all-time favourite sneaker?
From The Office.
Well, no, sorry.
From the Bristol Sport Office.
Paolo.
I was about to say, damn. I don't even like the show like that, but man, hold on.
Yeah, we got some real celebrity fans here on the podcast. And we got the guys from The Office have sent some questions into us.
Dwight from The Office wants to know.
Dwight from The Office.
Beetroot? Or no, that's a niche joke. Okay. Paolo from our office. He wants to know, what is your all-time favorite sneaker?
Like hoop and shoe, or
let's hear it. But on court and off court. Let's go with both.
On court. That's a tough question. Y'all would have asked me that in the What's the speed questions? If y'all would asked me that then, I would have been in trouble. Man, that's tough. I'll say 11. Off course shoe would be 11. 11s, Jordan 11s.
Yeah.
Any kind, doesn't matter. I love the shoe. And then on court, my feet are very picky, so they have to look good, but also feel good as well. And the ones that I've had that have done that have been the Kobe ADs. Yeah, right before obviously he died, perished. Rest in peace, Kobe. Yeah.
When I was growing up, the big shoe over here that everyone loved was the Adidas. You say Adidas or Adidas?
Adidas.
Adidas. Water. Water. The Adidas. Pro models. Did they make their way over to the States or not?
I'm bad with it. Like I'm bad with names, so I would have to see.
They had the shell on the front. They had the three stripes on the side. You know the ones?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
I love those shoes.
No. Teach his own.
Mike, who's got like the best shoe game on the team this year?
I'm gonna say Tevin. Tevin done came out with some heat.
Yeah.
Tevin Allison, yeah. Number 2.
Keep an eye on those ones. If you next game, check out what heat Tevin's got on the feet.
He definitely done came out with some heat.
Yeah. I've got another question here from our guy Matt Hardy on from BBR Daily.
Matt Hardy, that's a familiar name.
Shout out Matt Hardy. Not the WWE Matt Hardy, just the Matt Hardy from BBR Daily.
Close enough.
This was a great question actually.
Yeah, I like this.
He wanted to know what's one topic outside of basketball that you could give a 20-minute presentation about with zero preparation time.
Fracking.
Yep. We should have been that word of the week. I'm telling you, although that could come across dodge. I don't know.
Hang on.
I'm joking.
You're joking. I've been like, really? Norwegian oil.
No, I had to do a paper on fracking. Yeah, it just came to my mind. But a 20-minute.
Because the next 20 minutes of the podcast are all yours. You can do a presentation on it.
Let me call up some of my people then. Tell them to come through. It's a party. We going live. Instagram live. Everybody calling everybody back from the crib. You know what I'm saying? Indiana, shout out the region. You feel me? But I can't even answer that.
You should have just gone with fracking. I would have loved that if that was genuinely your topic.
Right? Y'all look so intrigued. I should have just left it there.
45-degree angle on that pipe or what? Is that? I'm making this up now.
No, it's funny. No. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't even answer that, buddy.
No. Well, if he does think of one, maybe Mike can tweet you the answer.
I'll tweet you
Matt
personally,
Hardy.
Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another question for you. Jeff Hardy.
Kurt Angle.
Tom Waterton on Instagram, he asked, right, have you met Tom?
That's the sponsor.
He is
That's
a sponsor.
My boy.
He is.
He's my sponsor.
He is?
Yeah, he's my sponsor.
Well, now he sits on the halfway line, right, every game, and he does the air raid with his voice and his when the other team are shooting free throws, and he wants to know, can you guys hear his air raid, or have you even noticed it?
I don't even know what you're saying because of your accent. I can't even lie.
It's just like an air raid siren.
Air raid.
Like, you know, like in the war, they had that massive, like...
Oh, yeah. I'm probably too locked in.
So he does that with his mouth.
Normal voice.
Yeah, I think. I saw this question on Instagram, and I spoke to Steve and yourself, Sam, and I did explaining what it was, because he obviously we have our headphones on in game, so we can't necessarily hear it. But when he said that he does an air raid siren with his mouth, you watch the footage back and you can literally hear it every single time.
I can hear on the other side. He's so loud.
But if you watch a game back and you hear the opposing team shoot free throws, you think it's like someone blowing a horn.
Really?
But really, it's just Tom Waterton doing it with his mouth.
All right, I'll actually have to look up. I'm gonna message him, man. Hopefully he watching the podcast. But shout out Tom Waterton, all the Watertons. I give them daps and high praise every game before the game. You know, much appreciation. They're a beautiful family, beautiful supporters as well of the club.
Love it.
And of Mike Miller.
And of Mike Miller.
He's teaching his 5-year-old son Sebi. I think he's 5.
Sebi, that's my guy.
Yeah,
that's my guy.
Teaching him how to do the air raid.
Exactly.
Love it. The air raid lives on.
Sebi's my guy.
Rob Ryan on Twitter, can you ask the King why he thinks he was made captain and what he thinks his best Bristol Flyers game so far is? Well, I think we kind of covered the best Bristol Flyers game so far, right? But he's called you a king here, Mike.
Hey, we are in England, you know. Might as well go head up to Buckingham Palace and
in an English accent, you've got to answer this question, okay?
You don't say. I need some verification that my accent is actually not trash, rubbish.
I'll tell you what. Give us a sentence now, and we'll get fans. We'll clip this bit out for the podcast. You give us a sentence in your best British accent, and we'll ask people to tell us what they think of it.
How about one of you guys say something, and then I'll repeat it.
Okay.
And if it sounds...
Okay, cool. So we'll say, hello, my name's Mike Miller. I'm a point guard for the Bristol Flyers.
Hello, my name's Mike Miller. I'm a point guard for the Bristol Flyers.
I rate it.
Shout out.
It's good.
Shout out my girl and her family. They always take the piss out of my accent. They always do. So I got verification right here.
Well, there we go. Well, I'll tell you what, everyone. If you've listened to the clip, let us know your thoughts at Bristol Flyers on socials of Mike Miller's British accent.
Exactly.
You somehow sound posh and like London at the same time. I don't really know.
Hey, that's what's that, unique?
Yeah.
Y'all ever heard of that?
It's something, I'm telling you.
Hey, hold on.
Okay, I got another question for you. Tom Harlem on Twitter says, my daughter Zadie would like to know who Mike's basketball idol is, please.
I have a favorite player, but I think that's different from an actual idol. Mm-hmm. My favorite player is somebody whose game obviously I respect and like try to resemble, and that's always been Chris Paul, who plays for the Phoenix Suns currently. Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. Leadership, point guard, the way that he makes his team better and impacts his team in like different ways on both ends of the court, from a vocal standpoint and like, you know, setting an example. Basketball idol, I would have to say LeBron James, and that is actually ironic because I used to hate LeBron James, like back when he played for the Heat and everything like that. But just seeing the things that he's done, you know, going back to Cleveland, you know, bringing the championship there, going to, you know what I'm saying, Los Angeles, like with the teams that he's faced, you know what I mean, like you can't do anything but like tip your hat. And then off the court as well, you know, as a black man, just a great public figure, not in the media for any of the wrong reasons, and just making a positive contribution to society, the black society for sure.
Yeah.
LeBron James.
I was waiting. I was literally, as soon as you said LeBron James,
I saw him go up like, what?
I was like, he's going to play the sound again. He's going to play the sound again. I swear every episode we talk about LeBron James on this podcast. We had a VJ come on last week and he was talking about having dinner at LeBron James's house.
He's from Ohio though, so that's
Everyone from Ohio has dinner at LeBron James's house. No, and then we had like a couple of weeks ago, someone else talked about LeBron James, didn't they? So,
I mean, he is arguably
he is the GOAT of all time.
A GOAT.
Yeah.
Okay, we've not got a lot of time left. So
I'm going to run through this next question. This one's from a certain Malcolm Delpesh sent in a question.
Malcolm Delpesh.
Malcolm wants to know, can you please recap your most recent beer pong experience against your teammate in detail?
I got some things I want to say, but that's not appropriate for the podcast. But I knew that was coming.
Who's the best beer pong player on the team, Mike?
I'm the best beer pong player on the team. You know,
yeah.
We've actually got video from your last. No, I'm joking.
Pull it up.
Are you guys like practicing with like bottles of water and stuff? Are you like practicing with like cups of water in the week and stuff?
Yeah, cups of water. Yeah, cups of water.
Get some practice in, and then on the weekends out for beer.
No. It's just whenever we hang out like at my place, I have like a table and just fill cups up with water, have a little, and then like we play against each other. But yeah, I think it was last weekend. Me and him played, And historically, he sucks at everything. Uno, beer pong, like you name it. But, you know, I'll give credit where credit's due. Came in, he and he won. He beat me. He beat me pretty bad, and he talked bad about it as well. And he'll talk about it for as long as he has the opportunity to.
What was the score, Mike?
It was actually pretty close. I think I had like 2 cups, and he had 1. But actually, he had 2 cups. I had 2 cups, I think, or 3, and it was his turn, and so he hit 1, hit it again, so he got balls back, and then like his redemption, like according to him, if you hit the cup, then I don't even get a chance to go. So he hit it a 3rd time, and so that canceled my redemption, and he just got to like yelling and talking about how I sucked and all of that. Which
And the trash talk continues off the court as well.
Yeah, it definitely kind of pissed me off. But you know, I commend the competitiveness, and see me again. That's all I'm gonna say. Malcolm Del Pesh. That's why you got dunked on by Anthony Edwards in what's the movie called?
The movie Hustle.
Hustle. Yeah. Who gonna sign up for a movie to get dunked on? And we can't even see your face. How about that?
I love it. Players firing shots at each other on their respective episodes of the Bristol Flyers
Crazy.
podcast. We'll get you guys to do a head-to-head one time. We'll get you both on or something.
We'll put
together.
cups at this end of that.
Yeah, we'll just do
table.
live beer pong.
He could have at least been an extra in the movie and smiled in the camera or something. He got dunked on. What's up with that?
We've got 2 more questions for you before we have to wrap this pod up, I'm afraid. But question number 1 is from Steve Devereaux, who you know.
Steve, my guy.
Which Flyers teammate, and we want a quick answer here, by the way,
Go ahead.
would make the best coach?
Oh man.
You can say yourself if you want to.
No, I would definitely make a great coach, but I'm trying to think of somebody that would. We don't have people
That'll be rubbish.
I'm gonna just go with me. I'll be a great coach.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
We've got one last question here on the podcast from Billy East on Instagram. Shout out, Billy. What is, and this is probably the big question, but tell us the story behind the nickname ICEMAN.
ICEMAN. Oh, so that actually goes back to big shots. When I was real younger, I had my middle school coach, Brandon Williams. Shout out Brandon Williams. He gave me that nickname because I actually hit like a lot of big shots, like in 6th grade, like during the course of our season, and like I was just never afraid to, like, in those moments, to take the shot. So he always called me like ICEMAN, like every time. Like he probably never called me by my name, and I don't know. I just kind of stuck with it, and that's that.
And the rest is history. And he just kept on sinking big shots.
The rest is history,
including a huge shot for Bristol Flyers in the 2021 playoffs.
No, for sure.
Well, 2022 playoffs. What, 2021?
I don't know.
22 playoffs.
22 playoffs.
21, 22 playoffs.
I get the years confused as well,
Yeah.
so it's all good.
Very good. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We've got Thomas Bell on next week's episode. He's already signed himself up. He's committed to next week's episode. Just before we wrap things up, is there any gossip or any like good juicy bits we can dig up on Thomas Bell? Or you're not going to stitch your teammate up like that?
Yeah, I'll save it for y'all. I'll save it for y'all to kind of pick them apart.
Are there any questions you want us to ask him on the podcast next week? Anything like that?
Nah.
No, we'll have to come up with our own questions.
We'll
ask him any. That's fine.
We'll ask him our own questions. Mike, thanks so much for joining us this week on the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and anything else you want to wrap up, Sam, before we get things wrapped up?
I think we covered it all.
That's it. Don't forget, we are available every single Wednesday on the Bristol Flyers podcast feed. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're on YouTube. You can watch every episode over on our YouTube channel. So do subscribe, do all those podcasty things that podcast people ask you to do. But until then, we'll be back with you same time next week for another episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast.